Welcome to Obesity Matters support meeting where you matter. Today is a special edition because we have a guest. Have Gina Livy, founder and CEO of the Livy Method. She is a best-selling author and a keynote speaker who's transforming the way the world approaches weight loss. Her fun, honest, engaging style, Gina has redefined weight loss as a healthy, sustainable journey, one that has restored hope among those who have given up, empowered people to live their best lives. She's been at this for 30 years and helped over 100,000 people not only lose weight, but completely transform their relationship with food and their bodies. Without further ado, welcome, Gina.
Hey, hello. I'm a bit under the weather, so my voice might go in and out, but I'm really happy to be here. Honored, actually. So thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah, there's something going around for sure. I thought we would start with you telling us about your own weight loss journey.
So mine started when I was in university. When I was young, I wouldn't have perceived myself to have a diet, although in high school, you know, we would do diets for fun. That's when everyone used to talk about diets back then. And I remember doing like the hot chocolate diet with my friends where we tried to just survive on hot chocolate for a week. I don't know where we got the idea from. I'm pretty sure at the time, none of us needed to lose weight. Throughout high school, I started going to our local YMCA. I started teaching aerobics classes. I got a personal trainer certificate. I was really excited about inspiring people. One day when I went to the YMCA with a friend of mine, I walked by a room and there was a woman there with like leg warmers on and she was shouting and yelling at people. And I thought, wow, this is so great because people looked like they were suffering somewhat, but also having a really good time. So I kind of got involved in health and wellness at an early age. But when I went to university, I paid my way through university. I come from a moderate income with my family and they couldn't afford to send me. And so I had to work my way. And I was working a couple jobs. I was working at the gym. I was working at a futon store, working for the school and whatnot. And even though I was at the time exercising quite a bit, my weight just kept weight kept going up and up and up and up. And I think I gained somewhat over 150 pounds because I lost somewhere about 150 pounds. And I couldn't figure out why. And I remember thinking there's something wrong with me. And my friends would say, you exercise more than anybody I know. And I never see you eat because I was on a diet, constantly trying to lose weight. So I was exercising all the time, hardly eating anything. I remember I would go to work in the morning and get a coffee and maybe a muffin, teach some aerobics classes during the day, come home, maybe have a salad. I mean, once a week I would go out with friends for pizza, but I knew how to count and weigh and measure, and I was hardly eating anything. So I went to my doctor when I was done school and I said, there's something wrong with me. And he said, well, you're probably eating too much. And I said, well, I know how to count calories. I'm hardly eating anything. How much less can I eat? And he said, well, you probably need to move more. And I'm like, I'm working out 2-3 times a day. And then he said, you're probably big boned. And if you can imagine, I'm not big bones. And, at the time I was taught, I knew what to do and I knew how to help other people lose weight. So why was what I was taught not working for me? And then I fast forwarded and after university, I moved to the city and I started dating someone and we started to go out for dinners and eat, and he was a chef, so I would start to eat more. And then all of a sudden I realized I was eating more food than I ever have. And now I was starting to lose weight. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Thinking back, I also probably didn't have the stress of 3 jobs and trying to go through school. I probably wasn't pulling all-nighters, so I was actually able to sleep. And then so that got me really interested in being like, okay, so if the traditional way didn't work, why is eating more food now working for me? And that sent me down a rabbit hole of trying to figure out how to personally lose weight. Within the year, I lost 80 pounds. Within sort of 8 months, I lost 80 pounds. And within a year, I'd lost probably 120 to 150. It took me a while to actually get on the scale. It wasn't until I had lost a significant amount of weight did I have the nerve to get on the scale. And so I would spend time at the library and I would try to understand things like what happens after we eat food? Like how does our body process our foods? And things like insulin resistance, things like cortisol, hormones, lifestyle. No, this was like 30 years ago, you have to imagine. So nobody was talking about any of those things. Yeah. Yeah. And then from there, because I had lost weight, simply people asked me to help them lose weight. And I spent a lot of time talking to people about not just what they were eating, but about how they were feeling and the choices that they were making. Weight loss is about learning. It's about unlearning things that you were taught when you were a kid. It's about learning new things, relearning things. And so I have a lot of amazing experts, but food addiction wasn't something that we talked about. And, how do you know if it's a craving, or how do you know if it's something more? How do you know if it's hungry or just had a bad day? And Sandra has just added this extra element to our program and opened up a conversation to our members that's been really enlightening. People need to understand it's not just you don't have willpower. Willpower doesn't have anything to do with it. It's not that you aren't working hard enough. It's not that you need to spend more money. It's none of those things. It's a lot of other things which can make weight loss seem overwhelming, but the small things that you do each day that you think are not adding up, as long as you don't give up, you're going to get there. You're going to get there. It's just about really, keep moving forward, and then also finding out what you need. What is it that you need?
And I agree with you. Most of our work is unlearning, undoing what the diet culture has done to us for decades. We heard these messages on repeat, like no pain, no gain, calorie deficit. You have to have willpower. You don't want it bad enough. You can get this done quick and easy. Well, when you hear those messages on repeat and you're vulnerable and desperate to change, guess what? It seeps into your subconscious mind. And then the work of undoing that, it takes time. I want to dive into today's topic. So with World Obesity coming up, we know that obesity is a complex chronic disease. How does the Livy Method approach this complexity, and what support systems are in place within your program to address the multifaceted nature of obesity?
So first of all, I'm not here to sell my program, but I am really here to share what I've learned. And so with my program, we start everyone on a basic food plan, like breakfast. You have a lot of flexibility, focus on protein. It's great to start your day higher in protein. You can still have fruits. You can still add carbs to that. Fruit is one of our morning snacks. Our lunches and our dinners are really put together with vegetables, proteins, leafy greens, healthy fats, just good nutrient-rich foods like Sandra mentioned. And there's no gimmicks to it. It's not low carb. It's right carbohydrates at the time. So if you're going to have your rices and potatoes, those are better had at lunch. For example, not eating at bedtime, not because, food is high in calories, but when you eat later in the evening, it can really mess with your sleep. Your sleep is when your body makes change. And so we have a guided program that tells you what to do each week and what to focus on each day. So that's, I guess, what's different. Let me talk about what's different about my program that might give you insight. So there's no counting and weighing and measuring. We don't count, weigh, and measure. It's really about just giving the body what it needs and getting in tune to the body's needs. It is a guided program where we tell you what to do each week. There's not rules, it's just guidelines. And some days you're doing all the things and some days you're not doing any of the things. It's just like every day make choices that one step closer and keep you moving forward. The biggest thing though is that we're focused on being able to maintain and sustain our weight. That's what we want. We want people to lose the weight, yes, but we want them to be able to maintain and sustain that. And that's a much harder thing to do because, like Sandra mentioned, we use food for so many things. Like, think about it. We use food to celebrate. We use food to show love. We use food to bond over. We use food to cope when we're feeling a certain way. We use food because we need it to survive. So it's a very complicated relationship that we have with food. So it's kind of about rewiring how your body's come to function and your brain has come to function, especially when it comes to your issues and associations tied into food. So we teach people that when you're following the program, it's about the thoughts you're having and the feels that you're having, doubts that you're having, all of that. That's the work right there. It's the thoughts and the feels that you have while you are trying to lose weight that give you insight into the things that you need to work on. It's so much more than what you are eating and when. Yes, try to avoid processed foods, ultra processed foods, try to eat healthy, nutrient rich foods. But what if you're having a bad day or you're really stressed out, whether you're dealing with something your children or your spouse or your work, and you don't have the capacity to make healthy choices for yourself. And no one talks about that. They make it seem so easy. Eat less, exercise more, and it's none of that. So we have a learning strategist that comes on to talk about how to learn new things, unlearn. We talk about, we have a clinical psychologist that comes on, talk about how our past and how we were raised with food is so ingrained. Some of us have real food scarcity issues where our parents didn't have food accessible and available, or financial constraints. And we think that we have that, even though we have a fridge full of food, we still feel like there's not enough. We have a variety of people where we approach weight loss from a variety of different angles, and we have very real conversations. And I think we're never trying to sell. Sandra doesn't come on and try to sell anything to anybody. She's like, have you ever thought about this or thought about that? And I try to approach weight loss in a holistic way. And I don't mean like holistic-y. I mean like in a variety of different ways, so people can understand, okay, what is my issue with food? What's going on there? Is it tied to my past? So what is my history with my diet? When did it start? What are the things I did, and what are the things that worked and didn't work? And what are the things that happened in my life? And was that tied into when I gained my weight? And what was happening when I lost my weight? And how did I get here now? And I think not enough people put an emphasis on their journey and their story. And your weight, I think we look at it as it's this shame. It's not, it's just your past. And there are reasons why you are where you are today. And really diving in and understanding those reasons will give you half a chance at being able to reach your weight loss goals. There's great medications that'll help with the food noise, great medications that help with your hunger. There's great surgeries that you could do. There's great medical intervention that you can do that will help you. But the real work is understanding yourself and working through those issues and associations, past habits, why you create new habits. Who do you want to be? You can't just want this new version of yourself, but then fall back into old habits. You are the way you are because of the things that you did. And so it's a lot to make change, and making change is stepping out of your comfort zone. It's very complicated. Weight loss is very complicated, and people try to oversimplify it, and that's the problem.
How difficult it is to treat, because it's not a one size fits all kind of thing. And it sounds like, well, I always say the more interventions you have, the more likely the success. And the more you expose yourself to different modalities and options, you never know when the light bulb is going to go off. So I think also what I heard you say is weight loss is more about resilience. Nobody can eat perfectly, right? We can't eat perfectly, speak perfectly, do perfectly. So it's the resilience piece. It's like, how quickly can you get back up? How quickly can you get back on track? And oftentimes resilience is powered by self-love, right? Because when we take the shame stick out and beat ourselves down when we go off course, like you said, I love how you phrased it. Sometimes you just don't have the capacity. Today, the tank is empty. So many people have dumped on me. I don't have the capacity. So can I practice some self-compassion? My weight's none of my business. My business is just to eat whole foods, move my body, and love the body I have today. But I want to talk to you about that philosophy, because you do encourage people, if they feel comfortable, to weigh themselves.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there. So the scale is a tool. It's not a measure of success. So that's really important. And so I'm actually either do not weigh yourself at all, or weigh yourself every day. Because, and this goes back to, I've talked to a lot of people who've done Weight Watchers, and they get their lifetime pin, and they reach their goal, and your weight can fluctuate so much. And we were taught that when the scale goes up, it's because you've gained weight. And your weight normally fluctuates. It fluctuates when you've had salty food. Your weight will be up when you work out and your muscles are sore. Your body will retain water. Your weight will be up. You have a crappy sleep. Your weight will be up. There's so many reasons why our weight will be up on any given day that have nothing to do with real weight gain. It's all about teaching people what their pattern is. So do you drop in little bits and then you have little plateaus, or do you drop in what seems like a couple pounds overnight and then it seems like you're on a week-long plateau? So we try to teach people, especially people who have a lot of weight to lose, what weight loss looks like on the scale and feels like to them. How are they feeling right before the scale is about to drop? So we use it as a tool and tool only. In terms of goal weight, I think it's not a weight. The scale is really interesting because it can really dictate. Even if you're doing amazing, you get on that scale and it's not showing you the down that you want to see, it can ruin your whole day. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why am I letting this? I'm the only one who knows the number. Why am I'm doing good stuff for myself. I'm trying, I'm showing up. Why am I letting this piece of metal dictate how I'm feeling? And that can again, your feels give you insight into there's something bigger here, right? There's something bigger. Why isn't you working hard good enough to make you feel good? When it comes to goal weight, it's great to have a goal weight. It's good. Some people are very motivated by goals. Some people not so much. I like go for big, huge, massive goals. To other people, they're unrealistic. To me, it's very exciting. So this is where you got to figure out what works for you. Get on the scale every day. Don't get on the scale at all, but just don't weigh once a week, because that is mad. It gives you no insight. It doesn't let you know what's going on, where you're at. It doesn't tell you anything. I'd rather you go by how you feel, go by your clothes.
And I'm a member of both communities and getting support. I just want to thank you both, because just for keeping it real, and also in terms of keeping things affordable, and also in terms of like sharing good information and not BS information, and just also the community. And again, that's on both sides, because Gina has a very strong community. It's really helpful for me to know that I'm not alone and having similar challenges as other people. So thank you.
Thank you. We applaud you. Thank you. It's the consistency and the resilience. I hope if there's two things you take away from today's session, it's about resilience, not perfection, and consistency over time. So I want to thank Gina Livy. This is what I know for sure. I can sense from you that you care deeply about your community. And I know this because you invite other experts into your community to teach, to help people grow and stretch. The value that you give is unparalleled, and it really speaks to how committed you are to people succeeding. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bye for now, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Sandra. Thanks for having me. Thanks, everyone.